नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो. आजच्या आपल्या लेक्चरमध्ये तुमचं सगळ्यांचं स्वागत. आज आपण एक नवीन टॉपिक कोऑर्डिनेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स मधला त्याची आपण चर्चा करणार आहोत. टॉपिकचं नाव आहे डबल सॉल्ट अँड कोऑर्डिनेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स. टायटल वरून तुम्हाला दिसतंय की डबल सॉल्ट हा एक प्रकार आहे आणि कोऑर्डिनेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स हा एक प्रकार आणि या दोन्हींचा आपल्याला अभ्यास करायचा. म्हणजे याच्यातला आपल्याला फरक शोधायचा आहे. म्हणजे याचा अर्थ हे ओळखायला काही प्रयत्न करावे लागतील, तेव्हा आपल्याला डबल सॉल्ट आणि कोऑर्डिनेशन कॉम्प्लेक्स हे ओळखता येते. म्हणजे हे सहजासहजी ओळखत नाही. म्हणजे यांच्यात काहीतरी साम्य आहे. तर मग काय साम्य आहे? तर हे दोन्हीही दिसायला सारखेच असतात. म्हणजे यांच्यामध्ये मोठा असा फॉर्म्युला असतो, मॉलिक्युलर फॉर्म्युला मोठा असतो आणि यांच्यामध्ये दिसायला दोन सॉल्टचं इक्विमोलर मिक्सचर आहे असा जणू काही यांचा फॉर्म्युला असतो. मीन्स they resemble with each other and it is not easy to separate, to distinguish them. Therefore today we are going to discuss the difference between double salt and coordination complex. So to discuss this I would like to put three formulae on blackboard and then we will decide among them which is double salt and which is coordination complex, and you will get to know that how to distinguish also them and how to find out whether that formula belongs to double salt or whether that formula belongs to coordination complex. For example, the three formulae among which first is more salt. More salt. This is very familiar salt for those who are studying 12th standard because they handle it in laboratory in practical of estimation, quantitative estimation of standard solution. So in that we will discuss that in practical. The formula of this more salt is FeSO4 dot NH4 whole bracket out of bracket 2 NH4 to SO4 and 6 molecules of H2. It means this more salt is hydrated salt. There are 6 water molecules. That's the water of crystallization which is necessary for the crystals of this salt. So its formula is FeSO4 NH4 whole bracket out of bracket 2 SO4 6H2. And now we have to identify whether this formula is showing coordination complex or double salt. And for that, because it is having a big formula like a coordination complex, and it also looks like a mixture, equimolar mixture of two salts, for example ferrous sulfate and ammonium sulfate. But to understand whether it is double salt or coordination complex, we will simply dissolve it into water or dissociate into water. What happens when this more salt dissociate into water? It simply gives aqueous Fe++ ions plus aqueous 2 NH4+ ions plus 2 sulfate ions in the aqueous form dissociated. You can see that here all counter ions in this compound are separated in its individual form. Fe++, SO4 minus minus, NH4 plus, SO4 minus minus. So 2 NH4 plus ions, here are 2 NH4 plus ions, 2 SO4 ions, here are 2 SO4 ions, and 1 Fe++ ion. That means none of the ion is in the coordination sphere or in the coordinate bond or bonded by the coordinate bond. Therefore, it is not coordinate complex, it is double salt. And in this way, we come across the definition of double salt also. What is double salt? Double salt is the salt which upon dissociation gives all its ions into their own individual form, means counter ion, or we can say specific ions are formed upon dissociation. But what happens if there is a coordination complex, and how does it differs from the double salt? For that purpose we will discuss one more compound, and its formula is Fe. Its formula is K4 in the bracket, square bracket, Fe Cl6. For example, this is a compound. Here you can see that this could be also perceived as potassium cyanide plus ferrous cyanide, mixture of two salts, equimolar mixture of two salts. But it can also be perceived as a complex compound. So to decide or to identify whether this compound is a double salt or coordination complex, we will dissociate that into water. But when it dissociates into water, what do we get? We get 4 K plus ions in aqueous solution plus only one ion of this whole entire complex, and which carries -4 charge. That means this is a counter ion, this is an individual ion, but this is a complex ion. If it would have been a double salt, you would have get Fe++ ion and Cl minus ions, like ferrous ion separate, cyanide ion separate, but you are not getting this. You are getting this in the form of single complex ion, and therefore this is a coordination complex. Means now we will decide, or we will define, what does it mean, coordination complex. The coordination complex is the complex when it dissociates in water, it gives at least one complex ion. And this is, in this way we can distinguish complex ion from coordination complex. There one more example we will discuss here, and we will find out whether that formula is of a complex ion or a double salt. The well-known salt, its name is carnallite, and its formula is KCl dot MgCl2 dot 6H2. It is very simple from that formula to identify whether that compound is coordination complex or double salt. You can see here no square bracket, that means no coordinations there, but let us find it out by the practical way, and for that purpose you dissociate this salt into water. And what happens upon dissociation of carnallite into water? You get K plus ions in its aqueous form plus Mg plus plus ions in its aqueous form, and 3 chloride ions in aqua. That means each constituent ion has dissociated individually and there is no complex ion in the dissociation. That means this is a simple double salt and not a coordination complex. And therefore, in this lecture, we have studied how to distinguish complex ion and coordination complex. And both are both seems like the mixture of two equimolar salts, means their formula is quite big, and it it looks like they are the mixture of two salts. They are stoichiometric ratio. They have maintained stoichiometric ratio, means 1:1, 1:2, just like we have studied stoichiometry in last standard. To the formula which helps us the molar quantity of that each constituent in that compound in 1 mole, 2 mole in a numerical, simple numerical proportion. So that ratio that gives us the information of molar molar quantity of that ion or that molecule in that compound. So here you can see there are we see two molecules, KCl and MgCl2, but they are in equimolar proportion. That means stoichiometric ratio. That means 1 mole of KCl, 1 mole of MgCl2. So that double salt uh, is the equimolar mixture of two salts. And in coordination complexes also you can find that their formula looks like equimolar mixture of two salts. But what is the double salt? Double salt is that entity or that compound, that complex which dissociates into water and gives each specific ion as a counter ion. But it does not happen in coordination complex. It dissociates into water and gives at least one complex ion. And therefore, we can say that it is a coordination complex. Thank you.